Good morning, dear students. Once again, welcome back to the history class. Today, we are continuing with the same chapter, chapter number 1, the First War of Independence, 1857. So far, we have discussed or we have studied the different causes behind the First War of Independence, 1857. And there we have seen the first cause, political causes, then socio-religious causes. We have completed it. And in the last class, yesterday we were discussing about the economic causes. Under economic causes, we have studied two different points. First one, exploitation of economic resources, and secondly, drain of wealth. So these were the two different points which we were discussing yesterday. Today, we are continuing with the same topic, economic causes, but some other points which comes under the same topic. So, the third point is decay of cottage industry. India was a country where people of India was producing a large amount of cottage products, different cotton products and silk products. And the British people, they have implemented some rules in order to have a good profit from their products. Like we have already seen, British people, they have exported our product to their country, and finally they have made good products with those raw materials and brought those products back to our country. So what the British people did, they enforced heavy duties on Indian products. Indian people, they have made products by hands, handmade products it was. So British people, they have enforced huge amount of tax on our products like silk products and cotton products. But in fact, whereas what British people did with their products, they have enforced normal duty on imported products. The products which they have bought from Britain to India, on those products they have enforced very less taxes. So of course what will happen, it led to the textile export practically ceased by 19th century. By the 19th century, textile industry of India became a failure. Means the people who were working in this field, they were not getting proper benefit from their products because there were no people to purchase Indian products since they were forced to pay a huge tax. So these were the different points, and again thousands of artisans became extinct. The people who were engaged in this field, the people who were working in the field of different cottage products, and they started to leave their profession. They started to go to some other profession. So finally, the cottage industries, it became a failure. That's what is the third point, decay of cottage industry. Then there comes the fourth one, that is economic decline of peasantry. The farmers who were producing different agricultural product. The different policies introduced by the British affected the peasants, the farmers as well. How? The peasants lost their land because of revenue policy. Some of the revenue policies introduced by the British, it badly affected the farmers. How? Because peasantry tax enforced by the British. And the British, they have used this tax for different purposes like trade of the company. We have already studied this particular point in the last part in one another way. The British people, they came to India, started business with the people of India. But what happened at the last? When they came to India, they used gold to purchase our products. But after the Battle of Plassey, they stopped giving gold. But instead they have given money, Indian rupee. How? Because they were collecting taxes from the people of India. They used the same tax in order to purchase our raw materials. So that's what happened here. Peasantry tax used for the trade of the company, for purchasing different raw materials from our society. Then cost of administration, in order to give salaries, in order to give pension and different kinds of bonuses and allowances to the people who were appointed as different offices under the company or in the Indian administration of the British. They have used the tax for the cost of administration. Then wars of British, they have conducted number of wars. In order to meet the expense of those wars, British people used these taxes. For example, like Bengal. In Bengal, they have doubled the revenue in order to meet the expenses of the company. Then again, it says that peasants forced to sell their lands because of the increased land revenue. When the British people increased the land revenue, what the people did, they were not having income according to the tax of the land. So they forced to sell their land in order to meet the expense, in order to give taxes to the government. Then economic decline affected cultivation and it led to many famines. So when people forced to sell their land, of course, what will happen? The cultivation will get decreased, decline in cultivation. So because of decline in cultivation, it led to number of famines. So that's the fourth point, economic decline of peasantry. Now we move to the fifth one, growing unemployment. A lot of people became unemployed. They lost their profession. How? Let's see. Traditional rulers given financial support to different people like scholars, preachers, men of arts. You might be remembering in some of the historical stories, the king in his court, he has appointed number of poets, number of different field people who were expert in different fields. So the rulers, they have given financial support to those people who were expert in some of the fields. But British people, they stopped it. Once they have conquered certain regions, they stopped the system of giving financial support to the experts. When native states annexed, it affected a lot of people. Like suppose British people is annexing a state, a ruler. There were a lot of people who were working under the ruler, the king. And once it is annexed to the British kingdom, those people lost their professions. Peoples like soldiers, officials in administration, military and judicial posts. So those who were working under the king in all these different posts, they lost their profession and they became unemployed. So gradually what happened? All these people became the bitter enemies of British because they lost their profession. They were not getting any benefits from the British administration as an employee. So they became the bitter enemies of British. And the sixth point says inhuman treatment of indigo cultivators. There was a group of people who were cultivating indigo, and I hope you might be knowing what is indigo, a kind of powder like blue in color. So the inhuman treatment of indigo cultivators. Indigo was heavily profitable to British because we have already seen some of the elements related to this topic. In Britain, there was a huge shortage for these kinds of products, and it was a highly profitable product to the British. But the workers' condition was so poor because there were different problems related to the cultivation of indigo, and that's why people were not ready to cultivate it because workers' condition was so poor. Place of cultivation was decided by the British, which means the British administration will fix the place where the farmers were forced to cultivate indigo. So it always, the British people may not be finding out a good location for the farmers to cultivate it. That's why the condition of the cultivators or the farmers or the workers was so bad. That's why people were not ready to cultivate indigo. That was the inhuman treatment of indigo cultivators. Then the seventh point comes, that is British policies decayed Indian industries. The ultimate aim of British people in India was not for the development of the people in India, but rather it was mainly focused on profit or to make money from Indian economy. So that's why British people have implemented number of policies, and due to these policies it decayed Indian industries. Policies like high taxation, drain of wealth, then strengthen of agriculture. So they have never focused on these things, like they have always enforced high taxes. They have followed a number of policies which led to the drain of wealth. We have already seen it in the last class. Then stagnation of agriculture. They never tried or they never worked for the development of agricultural field. Exploitation of the poor. The poor people became more poor because of the different policies adopted by the British, and all these points, all these policies introduced by the British led to the extreme poverty. By the second half of 19th century, number of famines broke out in different parts of our country. Almost 12 major and many number of minor famines took place in our country between 1765 and 1857. So, number of famines, all these famines pointing out towards the different policies which led to the decay of Indian industries as well as Indian economy. Eighth point says that decline of landed aristocracy. I hope you might be knowing the meaning of the word aristocracy. Aristocracy means sudden powers over land is being transmitted from father to son. Means from number of generations they are becoming the rulers of land. So, what happened? This particular concept or this particular system came to an end. How? Land aristocracy included. What is meant by land aristocracy? As I have already told you, it's transmitting from father to son, or the power is being transmitted from father to son. So, it included talukdars and hereditary landlords. So, these people were continuing their power from number of generation. From their father they have got it, and from them it will go to their sons. So, this system came to an end. They lost their land, and there was an Inam Commission which implemented in India by 1852. And in that particular, according to the theory or according to the policies of the Inam Commission, 20,000 estates confiscated because landlords failed to produce evidences. Suppose I am the owner of a land, I must have certain documents which proves that I am the owner of that land. So, near about 20,000 acres of estates confiscated to the British administration because landlords, they failed to produce documents or evidences which proves that they were the owners of that land. So, it was because of the Inam Commission implemented by the British, and because of this Inam Commission, this land aristocracy declined, which means they lost their land. It is sold by public auction. So, the land which confiscated by the British administration, they never tried to maintain it, but rather what they did, they sold it. How? In public auction. So, a new group of people emerged who were rich, who were having money. They purchased these estates in the auction. People who purchased it, they exploited it. So, the landlords who were maintaining their land, those when they lost it, it went to the British administration and they sold it in auction. The people who purchased it in auction, they just exploited it. They never tried to maintain it. So, dear students, these are the different points related to the economic exploitations. So, here we are winding up today's class, and it will be continued tomorrow with the next topic. We are going to discuss the next topic, that is the military causes. Still we meet in the next class with the next topic. I would like to sign off. Thank you.